We're going to roll right into our next guest and keep this crypto theme alive. David Nicholas is the founder of Nicholas Wealth Management, and we've crossed the airwaves plenty of times on Fox Business, a couple times on Fox News, I believe. But what really caught my eye a couple weeks ago is when I was on a Spaces with him, and we were talking about an innovative ETF that he recently launched that pays you weekly income by being leveraged to digital currencies and emerging technologies. So, without further ado, I'd love to welcome David. Good to see you, my friend.
Show. What a great, I've enjoyed it the short time I've been on so far listening to it.
Listen, the roles are reversed now. I paid you to say nice things about me when I said them about you on the Spaces.
Man, and I tell you what, if I could look that good in a t-shirt, I'd be wearing one right now. So you're looking good, you sound good, man. So I'm excited to be on.
I appreciate it. Listen, man, I want to get to this. How do you come around? Because you've been in the markets for a while, like me. I don't want to say a long while. We're not that old. You've seen things come and go. You have a great understanding of trends and how to make your clients money through all market cycles. And then you come up with a really innovative idea. And so tell us about the BLOX fund and what's at its core and how it came about.
Yeah, so I appreciate the question on it. You're right. We've seen so many different cycles as investors, as managers. So for me, it was really obviously crypto is becoming something that is only gaining in popularity. We've seen the use case from blockchain to Bitcoin to Ethereum. We've seen the rise here in the last couple of years. We had more and more clients come to us asking us about crypto. And the interesting thing is, the SEC, as we know, pretty much had our hands tied as managers and as financial advisors. We'd have clients come to us, hey, David, I want to buy crypto. We had nothing to offer them. So if you think really, it was only last summer that the SEC approved Bitcoin to be inside of ETFs. Really up until that, as an institutional manager, as a financial advisor, we really had to stay away from it. And so the SEC approving Bitcoin in an ETF really was the first thing that really unlocked the ability for us to start looking at this. And so when I looked at Bitcoin, I said, you know what, I want exposure to Bitcoin. But again, if you remember Warren Buffett, the times that he's spoken on it, even Charlie Munger, they just had this distaste in their mouth with crypto.
Yeah, they did.
It just didn't fit inside of their square peg block of earnings and growth. And so,
well, neither did Apple until Apple did for Buffett and made him maybe a couple billion more on his net worth.
Hey, no shade on the road, but he may have missed a little bit on Bitcoin here.
Yeah. So so now the SEC clears a path for your clients to own crypto, right?
Yep.
Most advisors go, let me go find an ETF that I can buy for them. You go, no, let me create an ETF. So this ETF, I think, is interesting because it doesn't own directly any cryptocurrencies, but it owns companies that are involved in the crypto space. Talk to me about that. The X fund, we're putting up the QR code here on the screen so people can get more information, but talk to me about the strategy here and how it's working to generate weekly income on an asset that people don't think generally associate with a dividend or a yield.
Yeah, that's right. So BLOX, the whole idea is we want to own the whole crypto universe. So we have exposure to both Bitcoin and Ether. So about 40% of the fund is Bitcoin ETFs. So we're going to get a 40% allocation that is going to provide price exposure to Bitcoin. We've got a 10% exposure to Ether. So if you think of it, there's three components to the fund. You've got the crypto sleeve, which is 50% of the fund, which is directly Bitcoin and Ether. The other 50%, is 11 companies that all have exposure. They're not all crypto companies, but they benefit from the price of crypto increasing. So those are going to be the custodians like Hood and Robinhood, and you've got a few other custodians there. You've got the miners like Riot, Mara. You've got the chip makers like NVIDIA, Taiwan Semi. So again, it's owning the whole universe of Coinbase and Hood, right? Of what are the sectors and names that are actually going to benefit from crypto doing well? And so again, going back to that Warren Buffett idea, we've got real earnings, we've got real revenue growth, we've got companies that are actually producing a profit, and we marry that with actual direct exposure through ETFs, through to Bitcoin and Ether. But then the unique thing that we're doing, Lou, is we're doing an option overlay. And so there's a whole universe of these income producing funds out there, and a lot of them sell covered calls. We're doing it a little bit unique. We're actually selling puts. And so with that, for our options guys, if you're selling puts, you're getting all the appreciation of the stock, but you're also getting the income of the put as well. So the equities, we're currently selling puts, but on the crypto, we're selling calls, and we're doing call spreads. So it's almost like got a little call.
So you have a position in NVIDIA, but then you're still selling puts against it, saying like, I'm willing to buy more if it comes down here. If not, I'll just collect the income off of it.
That's exactly right. Well, and we won't necessarily buy more. We're actually doing a spread as well. So we'll sell a
Okay.
put and then buy another put to cover us as well. So if the stock goes down, we can buy more if we want to, but we're not tied to doing that.
Yeah, no, I love this for two ways. You're giving people, everyday people, Main Street investors, access to a very sophisticated strategy, in a way that encompasses very two compelling trends, right? You have your crypto sleeve, but then also these names that are doing very well that are crypto adjacent and that you can do traditional income generating option strategies. The other thing I love is you're creating new content for me because now in future shows, I'm going to have to explain the difference between put selling, call buying, spreads, and I think
Good
there's a
luck.
gap in the, yeah, no, I know. Good luck is right. But I think there's a gap in the market there. So what is the biggest objection you get from people that are looking at your fund saying, like, I don't really understand it? Or what are the common, benefits that you're hearing them after the fact once they get invested?
Yeah, so I'd almost, and Lou, I don't know if you've looked into this much, but there's not a lot of people covering it. There's a whole world out there of these income funds. And so I think there's a lot of disconnect between, am I buying this fund for income so that is the NAV going to stay flat or go down? I'm just getting income, or am I buying it for growth? The objective of our fund is first growth, then income, but we are
Okay.
distributing 36% yield. So here's the other little point out to that is, as Bitcoin becomes more of a commonplace household asset, we would expect the standard deviation to go down, which is a good thing, right? We want Bitcoin to be
Yeah.
less
So
volatile.
less volatile, and it's more stable, like we'd hope as it gets more
Exactly.
data.
But if we're option sellers, that actually works against us. We want vol. So, which is why, though, on names like Mara, in names like Riot, in names like Coinbase, the standard deviation is so much higher relative to Bitcoin that we get more premium for that. But I don't want to cap my upside. So that's why selling puts, I think, is a great way where you get income, you get upside. I just think it's letting investors understanding the why this fund was built is to capture both growth and income as well.
Yeah, no. What else do you have in your pocket that you're looking at doing? Because you're always an innovator. So I want people to take a look at this ETF. You also have another ETF, I believe, as well, or two other ones. So
Yeah.
tell us about those so that we can understand. I've made the argument that there's an explosion in active ETFs, but true to form, there's always a lot more garbage than there's good. So we're trying to sift out the good, unique strategies, which I think you've cornered. But tell us about the other two ETFs you have.
Yeah, so we've got two other ETFs. Well, I'll start with our Global Equity Income ETF. So this is I looked at the marketplace. There really wasn't a global fund that had international exposure that also did call writing as well, or options income writing. So GIX is our Nicholas Global Equity Income ETF. It doesn't mean international. It just means we can go across the globe and allocate really where we think is going to make the most sense or provide the most value for investors. So if you look at the holdings of GIX, I mean, we've got Vanguard, S&P. We added back small caps. I was a little early on the small cap trade, but as of last
Yeah, well,
Thursday,
welcome to the early party. I got the
yeah,
first party favor there in the hat. I'm the one handing them all out. I'm thankful that anyone
unfortunately,
else is showing up. So,
yeah, we had mid cap. We kept our mid cap exposure on the entire time. We yanked small caps in January of this year. We just added it back. So if that says anything to investors that are looking where to allocate capital, we are bullish on small caps. We have emerging markets. We have Israel. We have Europe. We have Argentina. We reduced our exposure to India. But this is a global ETF. We're beating the S&P year to date, and we're also providing a yield of 24%. So to me, we're not so rigid that we're only domestic U.S. or we're only small cap. We're global, so we can invest
you're
across
global.
asset classes. Yeah,
Well, listen, man, we're running out of time, but I want to encourage people. I want to put the graphic back up on the screen here and encourage them to go check out your website. You can read about all three ETFs that David and his team have spearheaded here. It's at the X Funds by Nicholas Wealth. I'd love to have you back on the show, but I'm going to wait until small caps kick butt and we can take a victory lap for
I
being
love it.
right finally after being wrong. So,
Finally, that'd be
thanks,
awesome.
thanks again for joining, David, and talk to you soon, brother.
Thanks for having me, Lou.